Well, to add to our build-up to the Randox Grand National, we've got one man who's got a couple of very live chances. Was second in the race last year with Vanillier, and it comes back to go one place better. Gavin Cromwell joins me on the line. Gavin, great to see you and have you with us. We have to start with Vanillier, who ran an absolute blinder in it last year, and the plan, I'd imagine, has always been about the National. How pleased have you been with what you've seen and the prep he's had coming into it? Because pretty much very similar to this time last year and how he enters this race.
Yeah, absolutely. He schooled over the national fences at the Curragh today. They've two fences set up there for us at school. And listen, he lit up across them, which was nice to see again. And he's in good shape and happy with him over the last few weeks.
He's obviously gone up just a few pounds in the handicap, really. So re-meeting Cork Brambley, he's probably in a better position than he was last year. But as a horse and as how he's strengthened as he's grown, you know, now a 9-year-old, do you think mentally he's even a better horse than he was this time last year?
Yeah, I suppose. It's hard to just say that, but his run in the Bobby Joe was encouraging. You know, he travelled and jumped really well. Iron Maximus looked very impressive on the day, which is obviously a concern. You know, we have to meet him again. But we do have the advantage of jumping around the course before and knowing that he's capable of jumping around it. And, you know, with a similar bit of luck in running, hopefully he should be there at the important part of the race.
Sean Flanagan was aboard him last year. He's obviously had a really good association with him. He was interesting what you said, that last year he probably found himself a little bit too far back. Is there a plan that you and Sean put in your mind now about this year, or would you just run the race and see how it pans out?
Yeah, I haven't discussed it with Sean, but listen, he knows himself. You know, I'm sure we will discuss it at some stage between now and then. But I'll let him at it, and he knows how to ride him. He
clearly, you know, got himself out of danger. There's always like a bit of luck involved in a national of this type. As you say, knowing that he can do it over those fences is such a big positive. You also have Limerick Lace, she's really blossomed, hasn't she? And what a thrill she must have given you at the Cheltenham Festival. You nominated the National and taking her there quite quickly afterwards. How pleased have you been with her since that run and this opportunity now? Is she ready to take on a bigger, deeper field?
Yeah, it comes quick enough, but I'm happy with her now. She came out of Cheltenham very well, and yeah, she's schooled over the national fences the other day, and she seems to have taken to them well. She jumps well on the hole, and soft ground shouldn't be a problem to her. It certainly wasn't in Cheltenham, although it does bring a lot more stamina into the scenario. And you know, she's obviously untried at this trip, but she did stay quite well in the Tri-Town in Navan back in November. So quietly confident that she'll stay well.
She's part of the sort of jockey bingo that we're trying to play at the moment, and obviously JP McManus is represented by a fair few. We'd think that Keith Donoghue would maybe even struggle to do 10-7. So as it stands, do you have a rider that will be on board Limerick Lace?
Listen, I actually don't know who's going to ride her. So with that, you know, it'll be some of the JP jockeys. So listen, I'm sure they're trying to juggle that and decide that themselves.
Yeah.
He certainly wouldn't do that weight. You know, 11 stone would be his rock bottom. So he won't be.
Yeah, a lovely racing weight it is for whoever does get on board her. And the conversation about the ground we heard from Sulekha Varma, the Aintree clerk of the course earlier today. It's soft, heavy in places on the national course, and also there is a fair bit of rain around as much as there is a bit of dry weather. How much is that a concern for your horses? Would you want the heavy to at least be removed by the time we get to Saturday?
Yeah, I would prefer if the heavy was gone out of it. Vanillier just always felt that a bit of nicer ground brought a bit of spring in his step. He is lacking a gear, and you would imagine that the slower the ground, the better it would suit him, but I'm just not so sure about that. Soft would be ideal.
And
will be fine on it either way, but you'd just be a little bit concerned about the stamina. I mean, she's untried at the trip, and you know, the softer it is, the more getting it's gonna take.
Absolutely. And outside of just the national, you bring what it looks to be quite a nice team of horses. I know the way you're thinking stands out, the close relation to Limerick Lace. Is the plan still for the Mild May on Friday, and how pleased are you with him after his big success at Cheltenham?
Yeah, he seems to have come out of the race, out of Cheltenham fine, and yeah, that is the plan. Friday is the plan. So listen back into Grade 1 company, out of novice company, and hopefully he can step up to the mark.
And finally, Flooring Porter, all good with him? Is the plan still to head to the Liverpool hurdle?
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't so happy to see a Tiafu entered in the race, but anyway, listen, we'll have to face the opposition, and hopefully we can make a race of it. He's come out of Cheltenham really well, and couldn't be happier.
And obviously the Aintree Grand National is the sort of pinnacle for most people, most trainers. Coming second last year, knowing that you can do it, you can have a horse to be competitive. How much of a feat would it be for you in your career with all the success you've had? Sure,
listen, it's massive for any trainer, to have something that's competitive in it. Firstly, but it would be amazing to win it. There's lots of trainers who've gone through all their lifetime in their career and not won it, and it's just that's the nature of the race, and we're very lucky to have come second last year, but second is a lonely place too.
Absolutely. Well, Vanillier and Limerick Lace, 2 star horses already for you, but let's hope they give you a massive day on Saturday. All the best, and we'll see you at Aintree.
Thanks a million.
Gavin Cromwell there with high hopes of Vanillier and Limerick Lace. I know Vanillier is a horse that you like the look of based on what he's done, and I got a bit more confidence out of that. He seems that the ground might be just about okay, especially if the heavy does disappear by the weekend.
Yeah, he's a great man, Gavin Cromwell, and he gives. And what I really like him is, even in that interview there, he trusts his jockeys that he has riding for him. So he goes out there, he very seldom gives his jockeys, Keith, Sean, whoever rides for him, very seldom gives him orders. The jockeys are riding for him because they're good enough to ride for him. And Sean Flanagan. He's a great friend of mine. I spend a lot of time with him in Ireland. I stay at his house a lot over the winter, and he's been really looking forward to this horse all year round. And last year I watched the race with him, and the thing about it is, Vanillier, a lot of people said he came from the back, but Sean's a wonderful horseman. The horse took a little bit of time to build up into the race. He was a little bit slow, and that's probably why he got himself a little bit back. At the start of the race, he was actually only 4 or 5 lengths behind the winner. But just at the middle part of the race, when they started to put a bit of petrol on or started to speed up the race, he just felt his horse at the time wasn't quite there with his confidence. So again, he let the horse build up into it. So the horse would have learned an awful lot from the experience that he got around there last year. And I've seen a video of him jumping there this morning. He's absolutely pinging these fences. I know Gavin said probably with the ideal ground for him would be soft ground, but the thing about when the ground is that little bit slower, Sean can be a little bit more patient, and he can gradually build his confidence up into him. And I think he'd be a different horse come this year, and I really fancy him. And I know Sean's really excited about the prospect of going there with a real life chance. I'd love to see it for him.
Pleased that we've got on the line Christian Williams. We've just heard from his jockey Jack Tudor, who's just had success over at Wincanton, who had a conversation with James Millman. Still feels confident that Kitty Slight's going to get into the race on Saturday. You're obviously always pleased to see Jack riding winners in that fashion. But as it stands, with five days to go, Christian, it's very much on edge. We've got to wait a few more days to be certain yet.
Yeah, of course. But no, wouldn't it be great if he can go to Ayr to retain his Scottish national title? So, don't worry too much. Hopefully, get in at Aintree. But if not, we head off to Ayr.
Well, it's great to have the backup plan, but I know, and I was lucky enough to come and see you and see what you're doing, because it's such a unique facility you have to give this horse the best opportunities, and he is flying, and that's what I really gathered from when I came to see you, that he really comes into his own at this time of year. How pleased are you with how he's kind of come into himself since Cheltenham?
No, he's in great form. I'm very happy with him. Obviously, the ground's going to be soft there, so we're not 100% sure on the ground, but he's never really run on the ground this time of year, so he was in great form last spring, and the ground ended up being good. And he seems in good form this spring, and the ground's soft, heavy, so we'll find out.
We obviously know that he did something extraordinary last year, winning the Scottish National, then going on to Sandown, doing what he did. Do you feel that it doesn't feel like a sort of a fair result for a horse like that, who's sort of ticked every box to be a national contender, to just miss out when you've have a Scottish National win under your belt? Do you think there should be a qualification process that allows a horse like that automatic entry?
Try not to moan too much. Leave that to the older trainers. Just get on with whatever cards we're dealt, and maybe Scottish National, Coral Scottish National winner, Bet365 winner the year previous. Perhaps he should be allowed a free card, but there's other owners there with horses above him that will have a case on why they should be in. So it looks like he'd get in anyway. So we're just looking forward to Aintree now, only less than a week away.
We obviously know that he's a horse that showed you at Cheltenham that maybe he can get through a bit of a sort of slightly softer ground. You think that maybe even a Welsh National one day would be of his ilk? He's a horse that seems to be doing anything at this stage of his career.
No, he's a very special horse, and it was obviously heavy ground at Cheltenham. He'd just come right. We had a little bit of a few setbacks this season with him, and he'd just come right there about a fortnight before Cheltenham. So we hadn't really galloped him too hard, too frightened to take him away with a couple of setbacks. And he came good there fortnight before Cheltenham, and for him to finish where he did at Cheltenham, over 3 mile on that ground, was, we took plenty of positives from that, and he's taken a big step forward. And going back of this preferred trip now at Aintree, a 4 mile, so fingers crossed. He's in great heart there. We took him to Lambourne to school him. Mm-hmm. And we schooled him at home as well. The spruce at Lambourne was a bit brown, and I think they dressed him in February, so it wasn't ideal. But we did our own then on the weekend, and he had a real good look at them, actually. He winged up over the Lambourne ones, and then with the different greenery then, the fresh greenery we had on our own, he had a good look at them and respected them, and the fence is still dressed now, but we don't feel the need to school him again, so all his schooling's done.
So in terms of the plans and what there's left to do with a horse like this, and also possibly the frustration of getting a horse absolutely spot on for this day, but then potentially having to think about keeping him at that prime for the Scottish National, what do you do in terms of his next few weeks?
Yeah, no, we won't worry about that too much. That's fine. He just he head off to the beach tomorrow. So stroll down to the beach tomorrow, and that'll be his last piece of work. Then do a good strong. There's about 5 or 6. He'll do a good piece of work on the beach. I think we had high tide this week, so we'll probably have a good beach tomorrow about 11 o'clock. So we'll keep the important ones then for 11 o'clock after and take them to the beach, and that'll be his final piece of work.
And what do you do? Do you sort of wait and see, or do you get in touch with some of the trainers and make sure, see if they're definitely going to run? Well, what do you do? Do you just have to literally just sort of sit and wait and see what happens on Thursday?
Yeah, no. The owners can worry about that, and we just carry on as normal, really. If he gets in, as he said, if he gets in, it'd be great. Mm-hmm. If not, we've got 2 more options there, Ayr and Sandown, but be wonderful for the owners. Mm-hmm. And if he gets in at Aintree, obviously, and it'd be great to it's up to the horse then. It'd be great to give the horse the opportunity to do something special. He did something special last year, mm-hmm. and it'd be great to give him the opportunity to show us how good he is at Aintree. It's up to him. Just give him a chance there of winning the big special race.
Yeah, no horse deserves it more, and I know for you and all the team at home as well, it'd be a wonderful moment if he was able to line up. So we wish you all the best and plenty of luck, and if not, plenty of luck as well for the Scottish National too, a day that was very special for you last year. So thank you, Christian, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you very much.
I'm delighted that we're joined now by the Aintree clerk of the course, Sulekha Varma, on the line to give us an update about how the track is, how the preparations are going. Sulekha is sure that this has been a great build-up, and want to know how it is and how the track is looking at present.
Yeah, so much like the rest of countries, we've had a wet winter and we're continuing to have a wet spring. So we are currently soft on the mildmade course, soft, heavy in places on the Grand National course. We've got some more heavy rain coming this afternoon and evening, and it's looking like we're going to get some more tomorrow as well. And then some slightly drier, but not entirely dry weather on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is hopefully periods of sunshine, but also some scattered showers as well. So I think we're going to get a bit softer first, but then we may well see things improve towards the end of the week.
So looking ahead to the Grand National itself, what can you envision the going description if the weather materialises as we're forecast it to be? Do you think heavy will be in the going description on National Day?
I think it entirely depends on how, whether these showers materialise through Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday currently looking the most likely to be dry of the 3 days. Thursday night into Friday, some showers. Saturday at the moment might be a bit showery. So I think I'm hoping we'll see some improvement, but where the heavy ground is, which is from Foynaven round through Canal Turn and up to fences 11 and 12, is pretty deep at the moment. So it's going to take some time for that to dry out.
Yeah, we've had quite blustery conditions as well, plenty of wind, but it'll have to be really dry for it to get much better, or even to have anything better than soft in the description, you'd have to imagine. And it's such a big amount of foundation of rain that sort of kept the track like this, I'd say, consistently throughout this year.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been seeing the last couple of days is we've been getting that windy weather over the weekend, bit of sunshine, and the track did dry. But then you get 4, 5, 6 mil of rain and you're back to square one again. So it's not taking much to top it up.
And we know, of course, this year is the first year we've got some new modifications to the National itself, and even the time, moving it to 4 o'clock, was all around making sure that the ground, was at the best it could be. How pleased are you with the modifications, how they're coming to light, and how your team are doing to sort of get that to its very best come Saturday?
I mean, with the changes, the proof will be in the pudding, but certainly they're data-driven changes that, we were the data and the analysis and the discussing what the data was telling us with various people within and outside the sport. We believe that they are the right changes to be making at this moment in time.
And of course, we've got a really good, strong support from both Britain and Ireland when it comes to the whole week itself. The festival's been so popular. And of course, Nicky Henderson not being able to run the amount of horses he wanted at Cheltenham means that you've kind of sort of been benefited from horses that we didn't necessarily see a couple of weeks ago at your festival. So it just goes to prove again how important these 3 days are and how excellent the quality of racing is year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Grand National is the highlight of the 3 days, but there is some absolutely fantastic racing, around the Grand National through Thursday. All of the Grade 1s there. Fridays is just shaping up to be such a good year for Aintree. I mean, it helps that we're 4 weeks after Cheltenham, as we were last year. So not only are we picking up horses that may have bypassed Cheltenham for various reasons, as you say, we know Mr. Henderson's string was not in a good shape, but equally Paul Nicholls quite often bypasses Cheltenham with certain horses and targets Aintree instead. So we get the best of both worlds. We're getting horses that ran at Cheltenham, that won at Cheltenham, but also those who bypassed and waited for Aintree instead.
You talked about the proof being in the pudding when it comes to the safety measures and the changes. When will you review the race on Saturday after it, and will there be a sort of a review point where we'll be able to see how you think the data is stacked up with the race itself? What will happen afterwards so we know that they've been successful in a way?
Yeah, I mean, we need to take our time over any review. It's not something that's a knee-jerk response, but we also, it takes time to build up data. That's why the review that we carried out last summer happened, was because we had 10 years worth of data since the fences were changed, since the cores of the fences were changed. So it takes time for these things to prove whether something works or not. You can't just base that on necessarily on just one running.
Yeah, certainly. So with 3 days to go, keeping an eye on the weather, but also hopeful that we're going to have a very popular, it seems, especially with the number of runners, festival for you and your team. And I know there's a huge amount of work, and it's not just about the number of horses. It's not just gone from 40 to 34, but the amount of different changes, you know, looking through some of the details. You've now got softer foam and rubber toe boards will be put at the base of the jumping side of each fence. There's pop-up irrigation to water, even though, ironically, haven't needed them as much this year. But it's not just about those obvious ones. There's so much that's gone on to make this Grand National hopefully the best ever and the safest ever.
Yeah, and you know, the change isn't just for this year. The Grand National is a race that has always evolved, and part of that process actually was really interesting, going back and looking how the race has evolved over the last 176 years. I think we're at now. You know, the race has never stood still. Aintree is a venue that's never stood still. Horse racing hasn't stood still. You know, we're making improvements all the time. And as you say, you know, there's the more minor things, which, like, you know, putting rubber on the toe boards. I think all race courses will be doing exactly the same before very long. But they're small incremental changes that make a real tangible difference. And I think that those kind of changes are just as important as some of the headline changes that people are focusing on, quite rightly focusing on, but are focusing on to a greater extent at the moment.
Yeah, Aintree being the leader in safety and making sure that we're using data to improve racing and the sport as ever, and a race that we have been proud of for so many years and will continue. Sulekha, thank you so much and the best of luck for the 3 days ahead, and we look forward to showing every race live here on Racing TV, but the best of luck to you and your team.
Great, thank you very much.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.